Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Corpus Christi B Corporation, known as Type B, to order. Ms. Huerta, would you read the roll, please?
President Leah Oliveri.
Present.
Vice President Alan Wilson.
I'm going to change my normal response and not say here, but say present.
Okay. Work, present. Here. Secretary Diana Summers.
Present.
Mark LaRue.
Present.
Jesus Jimenez is absent. Robert Tamez, looks like he's absent too. Eric Evans is absent also. The city manager, Zanoni's here, and then Janet Whitehead is our assistant city attorney. So we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask if there's anybody here who would like to anybody here who would like to make a public comment? No one? Did we have anybody sign up online?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. I don't believe we have any excused absences from the last meeting.
Mr. Tamez was absent on December 11th, but he's not here to request a...
Yeah, and we've made it so he could.
Yes, he could do it.
Yeah, he
Yes,
can do it
ma'am.
later. Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Same sign. Whoops, we'll go back on that one. We're waiting for you, Mr. Temez.
I've just got my...
That's okay. We just asked, you were absent in the last meeting in December. Did you wish to ask for an excused absence? Okay.
Fire me.
Fire you, huh? Put me out of my misery. Okay, with that, the next item on the agenda is the financial reports as of November 30th.
Good afternoon. Alma Casas, Interim Director of Finance, here to present the financials for the month ended November 30th. Let me see. So we started our beginning fund balance at $15,294,000. We have revenues year-to-date of $1,650,000. Expenditures year-to-date, $87,576, giving us an ending fund balance at November 30th of $16,856,603. The bottom half of the page shows you the allocations per fund for affordable housing, economic development, and streets. Moving on, we have the expenditures as of November 30th. So affordable housing, we had $5,489 or $439. Then we had economic development, $74,185, and streets, $7,000. I need to get my, my glasses, hold on. I need to see this here. $7,952 for streets. Moving on, we go to affordable housing commitments. So we have committed $2,191,871 for FY24, which is $1 million for infill housing and $1,191,871 for the Alma at Greenwood. We estimate that at the end of this year, we will have an estimated fund balance of $617,417. Moving on to economic development. We've got commitments for this year of $3,106,721. So we estimate at the end of the year we're going to have $13,600,944. The bottom half of the page shows the breakout, which are for South Texas Botanical Gardens, Next Sports Company, TAMU CC Unmanned Aircraft Systems Center, small business contracts. Oh, I'm sorry, we have small business contracts twice. The first one is, it's for FY24. The second one is for FY23 because some of them are still being paid out through December. They were still at the end. Then we have Corpus Christi Patch, South Texas Military Housing, and Hilton Homewood Suites. That's the new one for $2 million. Moving on, we go to streets. So for streets, all we anticipate is at the end of the year, we're going to transfer the $4,327,000 to streets. And that will give us an estimated fund balance of $552,167. And then moving on to our sales tax. Our sales tax so far for the last 2 months, we have a positive increase in our balance of $37,183, above what we expected in budgeted revenues. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? I have one thing of note, maybe for the future. It's been a while since we've talked about the affordable housing. I know y'all have got the new incentive program going, so maybe that's something to put on our radar. We're still ending up with kind of balance there, and it seems like a time when maybe there's some more aggressive things we could do with that money.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all concur with that? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Perhaps I'm pulling the wrong agenda. My printer wants to do back and front, so it really. Okay, with that, our next agenda item is regards the incentive for the downtown hotel project. Randy, you going to explain that to us, and what you worked out as an agreement with?
Yes, Randy Almaguer with the EDC Compliance Officer. Yes, this item before you is developer requested for $2 million, up to $2 million reimbursement. So we talked about this last meeting back in December to come back with an agreement, and that's what we did. We had the developers work with city legal, a little back and forth, just some small edits, but it's going to be, let's see, a 127-room dual hotel for overnight and extended stay, to include that rooftop bar, lease spaces, other amenities, the Topgolf suites. This will be paid in 5-year period with $400,000. So, for example, it mentions in the agreement as well. So the first year after they get a certificate of occupancy, you're going to look at 55 employees. So say, for example, they hit 53, that 96.3% or 4% they'll get of that if they don't hit the full 55 at $27,000 a year, for a total amount of that 1.4 of payroll. So that's in the requirements, and then annually you'll do the compliance on that.
I thought at one point we were discussing 75. Did I just misremember that?
It was 70 jobs is what was put in the application, and city legal had recommended the 65 jobs.
Okay, so why did we go to 55?
55 the first year.
Oh, okay,
and then-
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, okay.
So the next year,
So the
they'll
next year
have
they
to
will
be
add
full.
5. They'll have to retain the
Fine.
55, add 5, and all the way up to 65, and that compliance will be done.
65, yeah, okay. Just double checking. If
I
I
apologize.
That's all right. Is there anything else that anybody, I see one of the partners in the project is here. Do you have any comments? Okay. All right, then and by the way, the reason that the board, I believe, agreed that this was a worthwhile project is not because of all the FEMA floodplain zone requirements and everything, but mainly because we saw this as a kind of capstone project in the downtown area to spur other development. I believe we all said we're not interested in fixing everybody's FEMA problem. From now on, you got to include that in your budget or go to the TRZ or whatever. Correct? Okay. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve $2 million under, in the agreement? Up to
Yeah,
2.
yeah, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say no. The motion passes. Is there any comments by Mr. Zanoni or anybody else?
No, no.
Okay. Can you introduce just, we lost Amy, but we've gained Janet, so maybe introduce her and let us know that,
I'll just introduce her, and then we'll have her introduce herself.
Okay.
But Janet Whitehead is one of our lead city attorneys that's involved in many projects. She's been to many of these type A and B board meetings before for project specifics, but she'll be the representing attorney.
Yes, I am the attorney for engineering services.
Yes.
And so I assist always with specific projects. And so when Amy left, it was just natural that I just moved into type A and B.
and she's been transitioning on some of these agreements, I think, for a few weeks, so.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you very much. Great to have you with us. If there are no other items, then I'll call this meeting adjourned. And now we just have to wait. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation Type A to order. Ms. Huerta, would you please call the roll?
President Leah Oliveri,
Present.
Vice President Alan Wilson.
This time here.
Okay. Secretary Diana Summers.
I'm going to be present.
Okay, today, just to change it up. Mark LaRue.
Present.
Jesus Jimenez is absent. Robert Themis. Eric Evans is absent. Oh, did you say here? Okay.
There.
We'll note it for the
He's
record.
there.
Okay, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anybody like to make public comment? I don't see anybody raise their hand. Ms. Huerta, have we received any public comments or requests to make a comment by?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. You have before you, board members, approval of the minutes from the December 11th regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I have seen them, so. I still have here.
Okay, can we hold those, well, we had some email disruption. Can we put these off until, I don't think it's anything critical. Could we delay these meetings until the next one when people have had a chance to read them? Okay, so we'll bring this back next month. Financial report. We have a financial report.
Good afternoon, Alma Casas, Interim Director of Finance, here to present the financials for the month of November 30th. And we start with our beginning fund balance at $20,956,287 for the Seawall Fund. We had revenues year-to-date of $1,637,961. Expenditures year-to-date, $14,111,203. Giving us an ending fund balance at November 30th of $8,483,45. We do have our committed fund balance in Seawall CIP of $49,309,315. Moving on to the Seawall CIP fund, that is where we have total active projects of $66,313,609, and we have expended $17,004,294. Moving on to Arena Fund, we have our beginning fund balance of $13,880,771. Revenues year-to-date, $1,616,082. Expenditures of $2,715,155, giving us an ending fund balance at November 30th of $12,781,698. Moving on to Economic Development. We've got our beginning fund balance of $780,086. Revenues year-to-date, $8,070. Expenditures year-to-date, 0. And giving us an ending fund balance at November 30th of $788,156. From that, we have outstanding commitments of $670,269, giving us an available fund balance of $117,887. Available for affordable housing is $13,333, and available for economic development is $104,554. Moving on to affordable housing, we have commitments of $173,893, which are the Alma at Greenwood of $160,560, and home buyer assistance program of $13,333. Moving on to major business incentives, we have commitments of $496,376, and that is for the A&M Civil and Industrial Engineering of $469,651, and Whataburger Field upgrades of $26,725. Our sales tax revenues are up. We have $74,365 over budgeted revenues. Any questions?
Please, Mr. Wilson.
I know we've talked about it, and I can't remember if we had a resolution or not, but economic development, affordable housing in Type A is basically gone away. Do we have a process to either convert to Type B? Is there a legal way to do that, or quit monitoring it on the Type A side?
I was just saying that we can bring that back, we can look into that and bring it back, if that's how the board wants to proceed.
Seems like it makes
I
sense.
think we looked at it once before, I will tell you.
Yeah, I think so. I think, especially on the affordable housing, I think we can move that, especially because it's $13,000, and we may receive some additional ones, because those are refunds when people went ahead and sold their house before the 5-year commitment, I think,
Right.
was finished. So it's a prorated amount. So I think we had talked about moving that over to type B to include that in that funding. The $100,000 that we still have for economic development, I think we were discussing some possibilities we may be able to bring forward with that. So, yeah.
I think there's a problem trying to take it into type B
I
from
think-
economic development, as I
I
recall.
think
We tried,
so. I
yeah.
think so, yeah. I think the economic development is a little bit more problematic, whereas the affordable housing, I think we can move over.
So we kind of get stuck if we have to use the Type A Economic Development Fund for a single project. If we can pair it with economic development from B, then it's really not an issue.
Exactly.
What we could take a look at is if we want to really go ahead and try to wipe it out at the end of the year, I believe you could look at maybe using it for some of the internships. We did it the other way, not really being sure how much, but we could use the balance of that and take 104,000 to Del Mar or Tamu. That's a legal expense, correct?
Yes, because we did have
And,
those
and
over.
then just zero out the economic development that way.
Yeah.
But we'll always still have the balance remaining. Here's the problem, as long as we have the university still active, we still have an active fund.
Exactly, but this is the final year. Well, you know, the 400,000 that's still out there, if they don't use all of that, this is the final year
Yeah,
of
we
that
could end up with
contract.
even more,
So we
yeah.
could actually end up with some more, just depending on how much they expend. I think they do plan to expend that final amount, but we could have some additionals left over. So hopefully by the end of '24, we'll have a much better idea what that dollar amount may be for the residual.
How to get.
I just wanted to see if we could simplify.
Sure.
Peter, are we, I'm saying, staff is having any plans on bringing the Type A back on 2026?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. So I've met with all the council members individually.
Yeah.
And we'll be bringing a briefing item to council to talk about next steps forward. Yeah. Probably in late February.
Yeah.
February, March.
Good.
Not necessarily on a plan, but just what I heard and what some of the community members have said, and then kind of a conversation about calendar and next steps.
Finance, the expenditures for the arena, they were doing all of that work, bathrooms and dressing rooms and all that. Has that been terminated? And does that $2,700,000?
So a lot of that is, so we have two different types of expenses that go to the arena. One is the ongoing kind of operational, which is the insurance and those type of things. And then, yes, we do have the money that's been moved. Part of it's been moved to CIP, and I think that's what part of that is that there is still the terrace project, and then all of those immediate things. I did talk with Elsie the other day, and so everything that was for equipment has already been ordered. And so the Zamboni actually should be coming in the next couple of months. They're going to get it in a lot sooner. We are planning having to have OVG 360 here to give an update to the board, looking at probably March timeframe. They've got some stuff that are still in progress, and so we'd be able to give a good update in March on where we are on that. He was, and actually the 26,000 that's remaining there, that was money that they did not, when the original amount that we gave them, their expenses came in under that. So we just recently brought that back to the board to reallocate that for some other HVAC expenses that they had. So Brady will talk a little bit more about that, yeah. I don't know if that's an allowable expense, so.
Anything else? Okay, with that, we have a presentation by the Hooks, is that correct? This is a presentation from the Corpus Christi Hooks regarding the Whataburger Field Type A funded projects, and it's an update. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us, and Mr. Zanoni. We will just sort of, let's see, where's my clicking? Forward? Yeah. Did you just scroll? Oh, scrolling. There we go. Oh, apologies. There we go. Let me make sure I'm back at the beginning then. No, thank you again for having us, and I think some of this will be a little bit familiar because our project is extended over a little bit of the time to which you've either seen or experienced firsthand or I've spoken to, but wanted to make sure we covered all this today. So the first one that you supported us with were and everything was PDL related. The first three projects, there were three specific projects, PDL being the player development governance that Major League Baseball has over us. Now, throughout all of minor league baseball, there is basically a scorecard to which every facility must hold a certain standard to. So the first and biggest of the purchases was the lighting system, and it's kind of a before and after there, partly just to show if you can zoom your own eyes into the number of bulbs involved in the entirety of the project and really the efficiency that comes between the transition of metal halide to the LEDs that are there. So all that was done prior to the 22 season. And just kind of a mention of fixtures where that reduces to from 216 down to 132. And then at times, still provides a better lighting system than obviously what existed. But I think a key part of that, though it's a national vendor, with all of our projects that we do, where we can, certainly supported by local businesses. So FSG was the labor contract on that. Couple just shots of the stadium, but keyed in on what was the compliance aspect of it. So if you're not, with every penalty possible, you could be penalized by 30 points on your compliance from the MLB scorecard. We were at 16 before, we're at 0 afterwards. Everything in that grading category was level 3 and or critical, which are the two highest categories. So we're in full compliance. The one thing we will continue to monitor, and we learned this from the Musco folks, our proximity to our environment in general, let's say, but also the bridge project is they had a few of their engineers start to panic on one of the scorecard elements, went recalibrated, did all these things, and realized simply the dirt and dust that we exist in is having an effect on those lights a little bit. And with not being the open old metal halide shields, they're very shielded and guarded, so even the rain doesn't have the positive effect of kind of cleansing those at times. So that's something that we're going to monitor year in, year out. One of the pieces that came from it, we had the AEP come through for a scorecard piece, but just that transition, there's some stats there that speak to the efficiencies that came from moving to LED. Our women's personnel clubhouse grading category was critical on this. That was done also prior to the 22 season, so very quickly after the approvals came forward. This was a key piece. I know there's nothing glamorous necessarily about restrooms, but there's 5 lockers in that area. It's one more than required. The women's personnel in this case is not my staff. This is female umpires, female tends to be nutritionists, athletic trainers, sometimes on-field coaches, and that's from either team. So this was really something that Major League Baseball is keyed in on, not only for minor league, but in fact major league facilities as well. And that went from the full penalty of 10 to 0. We renovated an auxiliary clubhouse for male staff into this exclusive female use purpose. And then the visitors clubhouse occurred after the 22 season, prior to 23. We had a number of penalty points full. If you saw 70, we were not nearly at that. I mean, that if you even just didn't have a clubhouse as a whole, that's like 40 of the points. So nobody had that. But this was key. Big difference seen by our visiting teams, especially those that coaches and players who may have visited us over multiple years to see the before and after. That is the training area. And part of the space that we found for this, we forfeited about 40 to almost 50% of our team store storage. Broke down some walls, got into that space, partly where there was plumbing. So this is the athletic trainer space. A dining and commissary with seating for 8 is also required. So that was the former training area, but simply opened it up and made it much more functional to great reviews. And then a couple other pieces. We were short 3 lockers. The straight ahead portion, you can see there's a little color differentiation, so those were custom made. But again, all done by local GC as well. A manager's office we did not have. It was basically like a little kid's desk against a wall that was there previously, so that was a standout item. And then it was mentioned we came in under budget, and so we came back to the board a number of months back and assessed some fixed asset pieces. So those are
two very beautiful ventilation units that sit on top of the roof. So again, nothing fancy about them, but they do affect both public and private areas, the restrooms on the concourse level, stadium, kitchen, and clubhouse, and laundry areas. But again, efficiency, and those were installed as a part of a project that we had taken on, which was replacing a number of other HVAC units on the rooftop as well. So we pretty much came down to just a few dollars, of that remaining, and so all of those are done, completed, and functional. Question?
Of the women's personal clubhouse, because as you notice in the major leagues, not in the major leagues, in the NFL right now, you used to see one girl, one woman, after so many years. Now you see four, and you see them around. So that's coming up. So it won't be long before the major leagues will have umpire ladies, and they'll have to have someplace to train. So the minor leagues will be the training area for them. So you're ahead of time by having four instead of one or two.
Of the lockers. Yes, in fact, 5 with 4 is the minimum requirement. So yes, we.
Have to come back and ask for more money.
No, we're in good shape from that. We've yet to see an umpire, though they have been in the lower levels of A-ball in recent seasons. So as you said, the day is certainly coming. But nonetheless, just we, the Astros, have had at least 2 female personnel members who have used that space from day one. And then we've seen as many as 3 from the visiting team. So in fact, the 5 lockers has come in handy. So, else? Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brady. Good luck. Mr. Evans? Here, Director of Engineering Services, to give us an update on our quarterly report.
Good afternoon, Madam President, board members. Jeff Edmonds, Director of Engineering Services, and this is something we do once a quarter, give an update on all the projects that we're managing through engineering services. And it says Type A board. There is a little bit of a mixture. We do have some that are Type B in here, but we figured since it's kind of the same group, we just do one presentation. I've got a few that are completed. This is probably the last time you'll see these. Late last year, we completed this project at the Arts Center, and you probably won't see that again. That was based on an assessment, condition assessment of the facility, and we came up with nearly $3 million worth of repairs and upgrades needed to be done, and that project is complete. There's something similar for the Art Museum. We had just shy of $850,000 worth of construction we did there. It was mainly addressing building envelope kind of issues. And again, this is the last time you'll see that one. Water Guard, May of this year. I think it's, I'm confident we're going to be scheduling some kind of event out there for that. So be on the lookout for that. I think everybody's going to be real impressed. The piers is underway. You'll be seeing increasing activity out there. Construction on that is projected for April of next year.
What's that again? April of next year?
April next year.
The completion, right? Okay.
For completion.
Yeah, okay, yes, sir.
For completion. That's piers A, B, C, D, and L, and also dredging in the Marina Basin. This one,
On that note, we talked about having an update from the Marina Superintendent. I believe he did a good update to the City Council, but next meeting maybe, right? Okay, thank you.
right, and he can probably give you a lot better details on these projects. There's a few more in here that are marquee projects for them. We're calling this Industrial Park Roadway Improvements. This was added to the CIP last year, and this is for the old Rod Village that we agreed to fund rehabilitation of some of those roadways with type B dollars, I think that's correct, right? Type B dollars. And we've decided to put this out in a little bit of a unique format with design-build approach. And we had some vendors express, or contractors express some interest in pursuing work that way. So that is currently advertised. We did a preliminary engineering document and used that as the basis for going out for design-build procurement. So that is on the street right now. This is a project that was added. I think at the time we thought that this could go straight to construction, that this would just be replacing kind. We've concluded there really needs to be some design on that. So we engaged a designer, and we're going to be advertising for bids next month. That's with piping and boiler in the Johnson Building at the Art Museum.
Emergency issue, is that correct?
Yes. The People's Boardwalk is, we haven't received the permit on this, but we're planning on going ahead and advertising for bids in March, whether we've got that in hand or not. And so design is nearly complete on that. Elizabeth Street, that's another one, the design is complete. We're planning on, or at 100%, we don't have signed and sealed documents yet, but we're planning on advertising that for bids in March. And that was a type B project. I probably need
Through the
to indicate
streets, right?
that.
Correct, yeah. Some of these are type B, but the city staff and council actually picked the projects. It's just that the money flows through the type B corporation.
Yeah, I'm going to clarify that. Next time we do this, I'll indicate which is which and which is the funding that's going through this board. Marina boat haul out, we're in between 30% and 60% design on that. And I'm sure you would enjoy seeing Jonathan present on this facility.
That's a picture of the current design there, with Turner Ramirez Architect.
And then the Cooper's Boat Facility, it's about the same point. It's in between the 30% and 60% design. We'll probably be getting that completed and ready to advertise for bid, I would say probably late summer timeframe. And the same on the boat facility. Richter is doing this one, yes, ma'am. Flood wall upgrades at the Science Museum. We have selected Jacobs Engineering on that. We're in scoping and negotiation.
Be going to college or something or something?
Once we get the contract negotiated, that'll go to council. And then the breakwater, we're calling it breakwater renovations phase 2. This is actually more of a plan for addressing the loss of freeboard with the breakwater due to both sea level rise and subsidence. But it's, at this point, just a study, and it's going to suggest future projects phasing to address the loss of the wave shelter and freeboard. And we've selected HDR, and we're in scoping and negotiation on that.
That's for the one that encircles the marina completely?
That's the full thing. We did a small part of it where we had that concrete walkway that we don't really call a walkway. But we took advantage of that project and elevated that section by a foot. But overall, you can tell over time, since they first constructed, you've lost a great deal of freeboard. So you've had a reduction in the wave sheltering. And so what we want them to look at is, okay, what should we provide in terms of that freeboard, and then kind of a capital improvements plan to achieve what we're going to need on that going forward.
Yeah, there's been considerable, I've had a number of people mentioned to me concerns about subsidence in that breakwater area and really wanting to know the cost to get us back to where we were if we can. So this is the project that will give us that idea.
Absolutely, it will. And it's going to look at, okay, what should we have there? You know, I've had people ask the question, okay, we're putting all that work down there, so we need to protect it against, you know, 100-year storm. Well, if you want that, you're looking at something equivalent, which seawall is. You won't be able to see the bay from.
The important thing is, what we have budgeted now is $560,000. What we don't have budgeted is any of the capital costs
No, ma'am.
associated with that,
No, this would help
or
give
with
us-
the seawall capital repairs. So we
Well,
will,
there is some seawall capital repairs. I think that might be in my next slide.
some, but is that all? That's what I'm getting at.
That is not all.
That's what I thought.
So we had a pattern that we were going with a small amount and then followed by a larger amount to do kind of maintain, we call it capital maintenance, to just preserve the condition of the seawall. And we've accumulated some money in there. There's about $2.5 million in there as of this fiscal year. We're in the process of scoping this next effort, and we're not aware of anything significant. It's been about, I think, 2 years since we completed that last effort where we addressed concrete spalls and seal problems, cracking, things like that. And so I would envision something kind of similar, but we're going to do a little bit more exploration and determine if we've got voids there that need to be addressed, grouted, that sort of thing. That's the current thought.
So the big ticket one that we don't know about really is what comes out of McGee Beach, that assessment, or, I'm sorry, yeah, that,
The
the
breakwater.
breakwater assessment, yes.
Yeah, that one, I can't really give you a feel yet
For
on that.
how big it could
But
be.
I would say we have lost a couple of feet at least of freeboard on that since it was first constructed. Of course, that was constructed in the 20s. And just, this is from looking at old photographs, you can tell that we've lost freeboard, which means it's probably a combination of two things, both settlement plus
Sea level rise.
sea level rise. So we do have a little money to preserve the condition of the seawall. I don't think we're building like a sinking fund to do something like what we did 20 years ago, but when they completed that project, they thought that was going to put 50 years of life on the seawall, and I would say it's probably, in my personal opinion, I'd say it's still better than when it was first built, because it had just a single sheet pile on the water side originally, and they came back and put a new sheet pile, water side and land side, and you know, it's held up remarkably well, considering. So I would say with the double sheet pile, even if it's experienced some degradation since it was installed back in the early 2000s, it's probably still, the system, I'd say is still as good or better than when it was brand new. Let's see, I'm going the wrong way. Williams Drive, this is a new project in the CIP to extend Williams east of Rodfield. That's a $45 million project, but $4.3 million of that is budget from type A. B, sorry. We'll get that fixed. Oh, and this is the last one, this project, they've delayed the funding on that, I think, because we're kind of lacking definition on what that's going to be. But the idea was to provide some connectivity between some of the sort of park landscape features that the port is putting in there and the water garden. And there was some thought that we could potentially use the old walkway behind the museum. But more to follow on that. We've postponed that one for about a year.
I saw a bunch of work going on Selena. Is that, I thought we were putting some money into Selena, the rehab of that little overlook, whatever he calls it.
Mirador, I think
Yeah,
I don't think it's part of a lighting project, Jeff, that $1 million lighting project.
Yeah, they were going to clean it up some too, right?
I don't think it's type A or B.
It isn't? Okay.
No,
I could see how-
but it is a good question, and it has jogged my memory over something else I was going to say. So we do have some other projects that aren't showing up in here related to the arena. I'll add a slide for that next time.
Okay.
Yeah, just, go ahead.
No, didn't you have a project before where, I see you made me forget. You had a project somewhere where you had some preventive maintenance on the painting and all that stuff. Wasn't that included for the Selena deal?
That was on the seawall? Yeah, we did a project that was completed a couple of years ago, and it was just kind of miscellaneous concrete repairs,
Cleaning it
joint
up,
repairs, and then we
taking the
did
gum
paint
off,
it
yeah.
when we were done. And, we're going to have to do something similar to that at least every couple of years. And so we're hiring somebody to produce bid documents to turn the crank on that again. And then we're probably going to do a little bit more extensive investigation to make sure we don't have any voids forming underneath, ground penetrating radar, that sort of thing.
Mr. Zanoni, did you have a comment?
Right, I was just going to say the Selena Mirador is part of a bigger project to improve all the lighting at all the miradors
Okay.
along the seawall. But the Selena one in particular needs more attention. Obviously, it's a destination more so than the others. But that project does include complete concrete restoration if any's needed, a stripping of the existing paint and a repainting, and then an acoustical treatment system. There was music that played there.
Right.
With Selena's music, and that has been broken for some time. So it replaces the entire system and some lighting as well. So it's coming along real good. They're doing a great job. I noticed last weekend, the crews were out there, the contractors, really sanding it down real nice. So, yeah.
It is a huge draw.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at
Yeah.
the number of people that are there every day.
Yeah, it'll be real nice when the lighting's in and the music's working and
Yeah.
a nice brand new paint job, so, and a restoration of the statue. Mhm.
Okay, are there any other comments, questions? Well, we have everybody here? If not, Mr. Zanoni, do you have any other comments?
No, I believe that's it for today. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call the meeting adjourned.